Good morning.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually like noon, but I just woke up, so it's morning for me. But guess what I'm talking about today? I'm talking about manga. Why else would you be here? This is it. This is today's manga. Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. By the way, whenever I say that title to anybody, they're like, ew. I kind of felt like maybe translation should have tweaked it a little bit, but whatever. I love it. It's cool. But yeah, so this is the manga I'm going to talk about today. I have both volumes with me right now. I'm only talking about the first one. I'm going to go through, for the summary part at least, like a little more than half of it, just because I don't want to get to the first like really big arc and then like it doesn't end. But yeah, that's where I will start with the summary. After that, I am going to talk about all my thoughts and stuff. But I think I'm just going straight into the summary. So let's do it. So it starts with a radio playing, and it's like talking about the legend of Hanako-san of the bathroom. Basically, the whole gist. Hold up. If you knock 3 times on the bathroom door, Hanako will come. Hanako-san will come. Because that changes later. Hanako-san will come and she will grant you a wish. But you have to give something up in exchange, and you don't get to choose what it is, basically. The radio says that. Moving on to our main character, who's walking into the bathroom. It's this little girl. This girl, there she is, Yashiro. And she's knocking on the door. She's like, boop, boop, boop. So this boy appears behind her, and she goes to push him away, and her arms go straight through him. So, oh no, it's a ghost. Spooky. And that is our Hanako-san. Not really, because he's a boy of the bathroom. Here he is, in all his glory. It's that one, in case you're wondering. I'll probably put pictures up as well, just to be efficient. But yeah, they meet. She's like, "What? You're a boy?" He's like, "Yeah, but basically the rest of the rumor is true. I will grant you a wish, but you do have to give something up. So what's your wish?" And she's like, "I want this one kid to fall in love with me. His name's Minamoto, and he is the coolest guy in school, and I want him to fall in love with me." And he's like, "Cool, we'll make that happen." And she's like waiting for him to do something like cool and magical, and he doesn't. And she's like, "Well, you don't have like some magic way to do it?" And he's like, "No, we're gonna do this the old fashioned way." And he pulls out this like matchmaker's guide or whatever, how to book on how to fall in love. So that's what they're gonna have to do basically. And she's like, "Oh, I guess I'll go with it. I guess." And so, first book, he's like, "All right, do you have any special skills we could use to like make him like you?" And she's like, "Well, yeah, come to my club. I'll show you what I do." And she's in the gardening club. They're outside, they're gardening, they're having fun. That's what she does. And Hanako's like, "Oh, cool. What made you do this?" And she was like, "Well, there was this guy once that said he liked feminine girls. So I started to do all the stuff that feminine girls do, like cooking and all that stuff, and gardening was part of it." And he was like, "Oh, okay." And like she keeps going on about this guy. She's like, "Yeah, I went to confess with him, but he turned me down and he was like a huge jerk about it. He made fun of my legs. Called them daikon legs, I'm pretty sure. Maybe he said radish in the manga. I don't remember." Which is so rude, by the way. Who does that? And Hanako's like, "Oh, okay, so this whole Minamoto thing, you're just trying to make this other dude mad, basically, right?" And she's like, "No." But she like totally is. It's like, okay, so like it could be any guy. It doesn't have to be Minamoto. She's like, "No, it has to be Minamoto." So they're like, "All right, whatever. Let's make it work." Oh, while they're like having that conversation about like, does it have to be Minamoto and all that, he like asks her what his first name is, and she like can't answer. So she got. So yeah, their first operation is to just like give him the vegetables she grew with a thank you note. And he was kind of like, "This is weird. Okay." So it doesn't really go over that spectacularly or anything. So moving on to the next bit. This is what Hanako calls the Operation Button of Love. Basically, Hanako took one of his shirt buttons like on his sleeve or something and was like, "Okay, you have to go and sew it on. It'll be so cool and romantic, and you guys will talk and it'll be great." So he does that, and she like gets ready to start to go and be like, "Hey, your sleeve," but literally Everybody in the class notices, or everybody in school really, and they're like ripping off their own buttons to give to him. So yeah, that was a complete failure. Next mission. This time, she's gonna try to make him a box lunch, which we have seen works before. So she uses her vegetables that she grew to make this cute little lunch, but she made them look like monsters because I guess that's what she thinks is cute. And he's like, ah, this was a mistake. Someone must have just lost their lunch because this is very strange. So that fails. And then like I remember the fourth one, it had the like ended in her pushing someone down the stairs or something. That sucks. It's not working out. Everything they try is just not working. So they like reconvene in the bathroom and they're talking and Yashiro finds some of Hanako's stuff. And in his stuff are these matchmaking scales that he did not tell her about. So she's mad. She's like holding them hostage and she's like, tell me what they are. They're matchmaking scales. What do? The deal with the scales is if two people swallow one of the scales, they will be bound, like, what do they say? They will be tied together by a powerful bond. That's what they say. But they will also be put under a curse. So, there's always another side to these things. And so Yashiro swallows one. Just eats it up. And he's like, dude, why did you just do that? You're going to be under a curse. And she's like, I don't care. I don't care because I want him to love me. So she takes the other scale and she goes to find this kid Minamoto, right? And it turns out, right when she finds him, this other girl is going to confess to him. And he turns her down. He's like, I'm sorry, but there's someone else that I'm in love with. Sorry to let you down. And so she's standing there and she's like, man, Hanako was kind of right. It could have been anyone. Like, I don't have to date this guy. And he's in love with someone else. I can't do this to him. I can't bind him to me through magical fish scales or whatever, or mermaid scales. So she doesn't do it. She doesn't make him swallow the scale. I don't know how she would have made him swallow the scale, but it doesn't happen. And then suddenly, she kind of like poop and turns into a goldfish. What? Could that perchance be the curse that he was talking about? Maybe so. But yeah, Hanako finds her, puts her in a little fish tank. It's a tiny little thing. And so yeah, she's cursed. She's cursed to turn into a fish because those are the servants to the mermaid that the scale came from. And like while she's in her little fishy form, her and Hanako are having this conversation. He's like, you didn't do it. You couldn't go through with it. She's like, yeah, you were right. It didn't have to be him because I don't really actually love him or anything like that. He's just kind of the cool guy in school. And then in the classroom that they're in, supernatural stuff starts happening and like the desks are going into the water in the floor. There's water in the floor rising. A little difficult to explain, but stuff is happening. Something's coming. It's probably the mermaid coming to retrieve her. And then Hanako says, oh no, it's the mermaid coming to retrieve you. And so like the mermaid shows up. It is not like your classic mermaid. It's like a spooky fish head. No, it's a spooky fish body with a spooky human head. It is very spooky, basically. And she's like, give me Yashiro, that's my new servant. And Hanako's like, no, I'm not really done with her. We still have business. So if I let you take her, that would be bad for business. So he like pulls a knife out of his jacket. It's like a kitchen knife. And they fight. And he wins. And the mermaid goes away. The mermaid's gone now. He's like, the mermaid will probably be back. And you're going to be a fish forever. Unless you want me to turn you back into a human and use that wish that I still owe you. And she's like, yes, please. And he's like, but remember, there's like a downside to this. And she's like, I don't care. Please make me human again. So he does. She's human again. But as he's like turning her back to a human, he swallows the other fish scale and is like, well, you're going to have to pay me back with your body, which is creepy. And so because he ate the fish scale, their fates are bound together now. And because the other side of the wish curse thing, she owes her. So he like starts to like hit on her a little bit. This is romance, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned this. This is about a ghost boy, but this is a romance. And so like he starts coming on to her and he's like, I want your labor. You work for me now. That's what you owe me. You're my servant now. So yeah, he's like teasing her. He's like, nah, I just want you to be my assistant, like chill. Even though he was being very not chill, in my humble opinion. And she's like, oh, gross. And she goes to push him away again, but she actually like lands the hit. And he is pushed to the ground. She's like, whoa, I guess I can touch you now. That's weird. And he was like, hey man, I granted two of your wishes. You're human again, and you are bound by fate to someone. That's kind of what you asked for. So you owe me. And she's like crying, and the tear lands on her arm, and her arm starts to scale up because apparently, if she touches water, she will turn back into a fish. And that's it for that bit. So now they're bound together by fate and a fish scale, and she can turn into a fish when fish touches water. And on to the next bit. So that same creepy radio from the first beginning of the whatever of the manga. That first bit, yeah, you know what's up. The creepy radio is talking about the existence of fairies. There is fairies running around the school and they'll take your stuff. But if you look directly at them, they will also take your life. So you have to be careful. You can't look directly at the fairies. And we cut to Yashiro. She's in the bathroom. She's cleaning the bathroom, like scrubbing the floors and all that. I think she actually makes a reference to Cinderella at some point. She's like, I don't want to clean. I actually have plans. And Hanako's like, what plans do you have? She's like, I have a date. And he's like, oh, you have a date with who? And she's like, the coolest boy in class. There's a lot of coolest boys in class, apparently. But that's besides the point. He's like, oh, okay, what are you going to do on your date? And she's like, well, we're going to do papers for this, whatever it's called. You know what it's called? The student council. We're going to do papers for the student council. And he's like, oh, that's a date? And she's like, yeah. And he's just so bashful, you know? He leaves right when we start. And he's like, oh, he's just using you. I hope you know this. Which, like, leads to him hitting on her more. And it's kind of cute. I just think it's cute. Okay? I'm very soft. And she's like, no, no, you can go over there. And so he stops. And so, like, the next day, she's thinking about it more. She's sitting in class. She's like, man, he says that this guy over here from class is using me. But he's totally using me too. Like, he won't even give me a break. Look at this. He sent one of his little ghost orb things, those little ghost orb things, to watch me. And so the little ghost orb, his name is Hanako-kun. He's just kind of floating around watching her. So like she's moping around, and then the teacher's like, hey, will you read this from the textbook? And she's like, yeah. And then she looks down, and all her stuff is gone. Her textbook and her pencil case, basically everything on her desk. And then her little brooch is also gone. So she's like, what? That sucks. Where did all my stuff go? And then after class, she's talking to her friend who's watering the flowers. And she's like, dude, all my stuff left. And she's like, it would seem that everybody else in class is also missing stuff. And like we see everybody's missing like their lunch boxes and towels, and this kid who made a clay figure or whatever, he's missing his clay figure. What a crazy mystery. I wonder what they could be. And then suddenly something jumps on the head of the friend who's watering all the flowers, and she drops her whole watering can on Yashiro. And Yashiro's like, oh my god, I'm about to turn into a fish. I gotta bolt. So she bolts. Side note. Okay, remember when you were like a baby? Not like a baby, but like 8, and you watched a lot of mermaid movies because for some reason there was so much like mermaid shows and mermaid movies, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm also a mermaid now. So like anytime water would like touch your arm, you'd be like, I have to go to the bathroom. I will turn into a mermaid right now, and I have to dry my hand. That's what it reminded me so much of, and I was like, oh my god. Anyways, she'll actually turn into a fish because this is a manga. Moving on. So she runs all the way to the old building of the school, and she's like, man, I gotta go back. I need to dry my hand first. I wonder if there's a towel around here. And then on the floor, behold, a clean towel. And she's like, ooh, great. And then she noticed there's like a whole trail of stuff. There's people's lunches, and that clay figure that one kid lost, and then her stuff. She finds her stuff. She's like, woo! And she turns the corner, and there's this gigantic big eyeball monster that she's looking directly at. So, you know, can't look directly at the fairy or else it'll kill you. That was this situation here. She's definitely about to be murdered by this gigantic eyeball monster. From behind her, though, she hears Hanako yell out to Haku-jodai, goes and bursts onto it, and she's able to get away. And when she sits up, all these little these little dudes start falling on her head. They're just these little bunny looking guys. And Hanako's like, these are called moke. They're pretty harmless actually, but unfortunately their story changed. The rumors that were going around them. So because of that, because of like how the public now perceives them, they have to abide by the rumors. So normally they're just little mischievous dudes who like to take stuff and eat candy. But now they actually have to kill people when they see it because of public perception. And Hanako's like, this is where I need your help. Will you change the rumors? Because as one of the 7 wonders of the school, I can't have all these supernatural things killing students because that's bad. So I want your help. And she's like, well, sure, I guess I'll do it. And that leads into like one of the big things of this manga. She's gonna help all of the supernatural things change the rumor, so like, you know, people aren't murdered and stuff like that. So we cut to later in class. We have some students talking about the fairies, and they're like, oh yeah, the fairies will kill you. And then she comes up and she's like, well, if you give them candy, they won't kill you, so make sure to always carry some candy. And that's her way of changing the rumors. That was kind of funny to me. I was like, why don't you just change the rumor so that they don't kill you? But like baby steps, I guess. I don't know. I'm not in this situation. I can't say what I would do. On to the next bit where we're introduced to a brand new character. It's the dude. So yeah, down the hallway, we see this guy yelling at the moke. And he's like, tell me where Hanako is. And he's like pointing his umbrella at them. And he's like, tell me where Hanako is. I need to exercise him. We go up to the roof where Hanako and Yashiro are just talking. And she's like, man, I wish my prince would just fall from the sky, just like in the movies. She really wants a boyfriend. She's like in middle school or something. High school? Middle school? Anyways, so she's like lamenting about how much she wants a boyfriend, which leads to Hanako hitting on her, which leads to that one yelly boy who's like on the roof of the roof. You know, like the part you stand and then like that. Yeah, you know what's up. And he's like, don't you talk to her. I need to exercise you. And he like jumps off. And she's like, oh, my prince, he's coming from the sky. And she looks at him and she's like completely unimpressed. She's like, oh, I'm not interested. Poor guy. And Hanako's like, ooh, I know who you are. You're from the Minamoto clan. You are from a whole line of exorcists. And you're probably going to try to kill me. And his name's Ko. This is when he introduces himself. He's like, yeah, I'm here to kill you. Or I'm here to exercise you. So you can't hurt anybody anymore. And so they like start to fight. And Ko gets Hanako on the ground. And he zaps him with his little... It was an umbrella, but it's actually a like staff or whatever. And Yashiro's like, bro, what? That's my friend. You gotta chill out and stop zapping my friend with your little staff thing. So yeah, Yashiro like jumps in between them while they're fighting, and she's trying to protect Hanako. And it's funny because Ko's like blushing, so he probably thinks she's cute or whatever. So that's cute. But moving on. She's like, Hanako has never hurt anyone. He's helped me multiple times at this point. So you need to stop trying to kill him because that's my friend over there, you know? That's my freaking boy. And Ko's like, dude, you don't even know what you're talking about. That guy's like a murderer. I need to get him out of here before he kills anybody else. And she's like, a murderer? What are you talking about? And then Hanako, like, grabs her from behind and puts his knife up to Ko's, throat. And he's like, oh, looks like my secret's out. So, like, he straight up murdered someone. And he's like, well, you know, I did kill someone, but I can't let you exercise me quite yet. I still got stuff to do. So they start to fight more. And Hanako notices that Ko is being zapped by the rod also. And he's hurting himself every time he uses it. So eventually Hanako gets Ko on the ground. He takes the staff away from him and seals it, you know, with like little paper seal. And he's like, you should not be using something that you can't control. You're going to end up hurting yourself. Oh yeah, the line he actually says is like, using a power you can't control will ultimately lead to ruin. He's very dramatic about it. And Ko's like, I don't care. If I could protect people, then that's all that matters to me. I don't care if I get hurt. And Hanako's like, dude, you don't need to rush. You will be a great exorcist someday. But also, your guard is down right now. So I am going to punch you very hard in the stomach and knock you out. Which is what he does. And so Yashiro comes running back and she's like, oh my god, what did you just do? And Hanako's like, chill out. He'll wake it back up in like a second. And he was like, "Oh, were you worried about me?" And she was like, "Yeah, I'm like your friend, dude. Of course I was worried about you. Oh my God." And he's like, "Oh, so you're cool with being friends with a murderer. I see how it is." And she like starts to say something, but he's like, "Just kidding." And then he leaves. So we don't get to see the end of that conversation. And then after that, it leads into the next arc that I am not going to talk about. I am going to leave the summary at that. We have our three main characters introduced. Yes, Ko is going to be like part of their little party of people, even though he's trying to exercise Hanako. It works. It works. Don't even worry about it. And let me get to what I think about it because I have lots of thoughts. So this one was different. The way I was introduced to this one, I actually read. No, I didn't read it first. I watched the anime first, and I loved it so much. I watched the dub and the sub. I've watched it multiple times at this point, is what I'm saying. And low key, I feel like it was definitely slept on. I don't see people talking about it as much as I think they should, because this one is so much fun. It is so cute. The art style is incredible. Like, you see the art style on the cover of the books. Look at. Oh, wait, this is the second volume. I didn't talk about that stuff. Hang on, I'm getting there. I want to get to one of the more detailed spreads. Here, look at that. Look how pretty it is. I love it. And then you go watch the anime, and it's that plus more. Because you get like the really nice music, the creepy music, 'cause it's a ghost story. The OP is amazing. I love it. It is so much fun. I listen to it too much. It'll probably be on my Spotify top 5 or whatever, because that's the kind of person I am. I do want to read more of the manga. I've only read these 2 volumes. There is a little bit of a differentiation in the second volume because it's a bit different from the anime, and I have not gone beyond that, and I want to so bad, but it's always sold out. The third volume is always sold out, and I don't know why. It is what I've been. I feel like lately there hasn't been a whole lot of new shojo-esque type things. Like we had the remake for Fruits Basket that I've been watching a lot, but like nothing has been landing quite as much as I would have liked. And this very much feels like that kind of thing. Because there is love, they're very cute, they're in like middle or high school, I don't know. I like to watch them. They're very enjoyable. Also, I like the like creepiness of it all. But yeah, I go on to really enjoy the dynamic between the 3 characters because I don't know. There's something so satisfying about like I have to kill you, but you're my friend now. Oh no, what do I do? That's always nice. And also Hanako is kind of confusing. So, like for the most part, you're like, he's a good kid. Like this is fine. But also he's like, I'll be a little bit evil today. So that's not fine. Sometimes. He's he's very interesting to me, basically. Poor Yashio just wants a boyfriend, but her best friends are a dude who's an exorcist that she's not interested in, and a ghost boy who is definitely dead. Godspeed, champion. I'm rooting for you. This Halloween, if you want to watch something creepy but not like scary or horror or gore or anything like that, this is what I would recommend. It's just fun to watch and it's good and it's cute. And that's my thoughts on that. So yeah, this is gonna be the end of the video. I ordered a manga that I want to talk about. I don't know when it's gonna get here. When it does, I really want to talk about it, and that'll probably be the third spooky manga that I review for, what is this? October. Because it's a spooky month. It's October. We love that. And yes, this is the end of the video. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for letting me just talk about these 2 manga for a little bit. This is the end. This is the end of the video. I have the shark in the chair today. Goodbye.